If you want to become a powerful attacking chess player, then you need to know the secrets that all strong chess players know. In this video, I'm going to share 7 attacking chess secrets which you can use to launch devastating attacks and checkmate your opponents. Lesson number 1 is that backwards moves can create strong threats. It's always a bit counterintuitive to go backwards with your pieces, but we're going to see how powerful it can be by using this position, which first appeared in one of the oldest documents in recorded chess history, the Paris manuscript. Now this came about around about the year 1500, and I think it's amazing that we can still learn from positions from over 500 years ago. Anyhow, it's black to move here, and I think the most obvious move for black is to capture this under-defended pawn on g4, and indeed that's what the manuscript considered. But there's a better move for black in the original position. But first of all, let's see why this move is not so strong. The thing is that white can gain a lot of counterplay by first capturing on c6, and then after black takes back, the white knight gets into this very strong d5 square. And now this knight threatens knight to c7 check, which would win material, and it also covers the b6 square. We're going to see why that's important in a minute. So black has really got to defend c7, and the game continues. If black tries to create threats on the h-file, then white is actually going to be able to escape with their king via f2. And this fact provides a clue as to what the correct plan for black could be in the original position. So let's go back there. The right move for black to gain a close to winning advantage is bishop to d8, this backwards move. Now this looks to bring the bishop to the b6 square. And as it turns out, there's not really much that white can do to prevent this. Let's say that white plays the same moves as was considered in the manuscript, capturing on c6. Well, without even recapturing, you can play bishop to b6 check, and the best move for white is actually to block with the rook. Now that gives up material, because that rook is now pinned and can be captured at any time. But if white plays anything else, like if white goes to the h-file, for example, then it's instantly checkmate this way. So I think the lesson here is very instructive. Going backwards with a piece can get it to a more aggressive square ultimately. If you enjoyed that last example, then click subscribe to keep improving your chess. There's plenty more instructive chess videos coming up from me very soon. Now on to lesson number 2, which is that pawn sacrifices can create new squares for your pieces. When you're on the attack, you should start to think about material in a different way. It's not just about who's got one pawn more or who's got one pawn less. The danger that you can create to the enemy king is much more valuable. We're going to illustrate this with a position from Elyakin versus Kmoch, 1930, where it's white to move. Now in this position, white played the move d5. And at first this move may not seem possible, because if you're simply counting the number of attackers and defenders, well, this pawn on d5 is now attacked twice by black and defended just once by white. But the point is that if this pawn sacrifice is accepted, white is planning knight to f5. So by distracting this pawn away from the defensive f5, white gains a new square for their knight. And black would be totally lost here. White has just got too many threats. This knight on f5 creates the threat of knight takes h6 check, also rook takes g7 check, which is why in the game black did not accept the pawn sacrifice. Instead, black tried to counterattack with a5, but white responded by bringing their queen to a more and more aggressive position, starting with queen to e4, queen to e5, and then queen to h5. The queen can't be taken because the pawn is pinned. You can see here how the clouds are darkening around black's kingside. White's got all these pieces attacking, and most of black's pieces are stuck over on the queen side, unable to come to the defense of their king. Now in this position, black felt it necessary to give up the exchange via rook takes d5. White just took the rook and is material up. And from here, white grabbed another pawn, and black tried to defend this way, just about the only way to stop checkmate. But now white just captured the queen, and at this point black resigned, because in this endgame, white is still up the exchange, and this is totally winning for white. But really it's the original position that I wanted to emphasize, back here. If you're just doing a simplistic count of attackers and defenders, then you might discard a move like d5. But if you think more deeply, if you think about the attacking potential it provides if it's captured, by bringing your piece to a new square, then you might start to see creative moves like this one. Just quickly, if you'd like my help to improve your results in chess, then I work with a small number of high-achieving adults through the Road to 2000 Chess Mentorship Program. You can check out all the details and apply to work with me by clicking the link in the description below. Now on to our third lesson, which is that the check is not always the best move. I think when you understand this, that makes a really big difference to your overall performance in the game, because many lower-rated players will see a check and play the check without considering if there's something better. I mean, a check is the most forcing move, but it's not always the best way to continue. And this is really nicely illustrated with the following position, which appeared in The Art of Attack in Chess, one of my all-time favourite chess books. It's white to move here, and I think the move that many players would play in a position like this one is queen to g3 check. It looks to attack on the g file, and it's a check, so it's the most obvious first move to play. Because if you notice in this position, white has actually had to sacrifice a piece. So black can sacrifice the piece back with bishop to g5, holding up white's attack. Now, white can play h4, taking advantage of the fact that this bishop is pinned, but it gives black time to run away with their king, starting with king to f8. Now, white can capture the bishop and restore material equality, but the game continues. If you give this check now, then the king is actually reasonably safe on e7, which is why in the original position, if you are a bit more creative and you think beyond the checks, you might be able to find the move queen to c3. Now this comes with the same threat of checkmate on g7, so it's a forcing move, just like the check was a forcing move. But as it turns out, it cuts down black's possibilities of what to reply with. If you try and block with the bishop, well, it'll just get taken. Let's just show that. So that's not any good for black. I think the most natural way for black to try to defend is with the move f6. But now you give the check. And the difference is you've taken away that defensive possibility of bishop to g5, which black had in the other line. Black's got to play bishop to g4, and now you just take it. King to f7, and this is much more dangerous for black to deal with. Black's king is going to be forced out towards the centre of the board, and it's hard to believe that black is going to be able to survive this. But it all starts with the right mindset in the original position, understanding that the check may not always be the strongest move. Sometimes a powerful threat can be much more dangerous. Lesson number 4. The killer move can be a quiet one. We'll illustrate this with the following position from Alyakin versus Jonna, 1934. Now there are a couple of very tempting moves that white could play here. Queen takes g4 comes to mind, capturing a pawn with check, or bishop to d5 check. But Alyakin, that great attacking genius, played neither of these two moves, and that's what's instructive about this position, I think. Instead, Alyakin played the quiet move queen to h6. This is devastating. It's not a check, but it forced resignation, because now bishop to d5 check comes with far greater force, because the white queen cuts off the g7 and the f8 escape square if the knight were to move. There's nothing really that black can do about this. Black is either getting checkmated or losing their queen. And rather than suffer those fates, black instead resigned. I think this position is a great illustration of that old chess maxim. When you see a good move, look for a better one. Capturing a pawn with check, obviously, looks very good, but there's something even stronger in the position. In this case, it's a quiet move, and that's the way that you can end the game on the spot. Rule number 5. In general, avoid trading queens when your opponent has king safety trouble. Our model game here is Floor versus Stoltz, 1935. Now, in this position, white played a brilliant move, sacrificing their bishop on f7. The reason this is brilliant is that after black takes back, white can create strong threats on the 6th rank with the queen and rook well coordinated. That's why black tried to give back the material via bishop to d6. Now, the white queen is attacked, and if you capture on d6, black will surely trade queens. This endgame is still winning for white, but there's still some work to do. The game would continue for many more moves probably. That's why I like Floor's move in the game a lot better. After bishop to d6, he instead gave this check on d5, keeping the queens on the board. Now after the black king moves, white is able to recapture with the rook. With the queens still on the board, black's king is in greater danger. The black queen is attacked as well, so it moved out of the way. White renewed the threat on the black queen, and black tried to counterattack, but with the simple move queen to b7 check, black had to resign. The black king is in check, the black queen is attacked as well, and if you try and solve both problems with queen to f7, then rook to e7 wins the black queen. It's going to end up being the white queen versus a black rook, and of course that is winning for white. So it's really this position here which I think has the most instructive value. Rather than trade queens and give black what they want with an endgame, this check keeps the queens on the board and therefore gives black greater problems to solve in terms of king safety. Lesson number 6. Keep checkmating patterns in mind to find surprising moves. When you have a strong knowledge of the checkmating patterns, all sorts of attacking possibilities will reveal themselves to you. Such as in this analysis position from another one of my favourite chess books, Judgment and Planning in Chess. It's white to move here and the position is extremely complex. We can see that black's king is quite exposed, black's rook on f8 is under attack, but white's rook on h1 is also under attack. So how should white continue? Well, if you think in the way that I've just introduced in this rule, to consider the checkmating patterns, then you might find the surprising move queen to f3. A move like this might be invisible to you if you're not thinking in terms of checkmating patterns, because this is a queen sacrifice. But the point is that if black takes it, then there's going to be rook to g1 check, which will lead to checkmate as follows. The king really has to go to h8, and then there's going to be bishop to g7 check. The king has to go back to g8, and then bishop takes f6, discovered check, and also covering the h8 square. There's only one move that black can delay checkmate for, and it's by giving up the queen. But it's only one move, and now that's checkmate for white. So always keep an eye out for the checkmating patterns when you're on the attack. That's how you can find amazing possibilities, such as queen to f3 in a position like this one. If you're serious about improving your chess, then I work with a small number of high-achieving adults through the Road to 2000 Chess Mentorship Program. You can check out all the details by clicking the link in the description below and applying to work with me. Now, of course, my time is very limited and I can't work with everyone who's watching this video. So please, only apply if you're really serious about this and you've got the time and resources to dedicate to chess improvement. The types of clients I typically work with are doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, executives, people who don't have time to waste doing the wrong thing in their chess improvement journey. If that does sound like you, then the Road to 2000 Chess Mentorship Program can help you get the types of results in chess that you didn't think were possible. Click the link in the description below to apply to join. Finally, lesson number 7. When the centre is closed, the king can be safer in the middle. Take the following position from Leo Barsky versus Sultan Beef, 1928, where it's black to move. I think a lot of players, if they had black here, would castle kingside. As beginners, that's what we're taught to do, to castle as quickly as possible. But when the centre is closed, like it is here, see these pawns on the d file and e file are locked together, making it very difficult for either side to open lines in the centre, it means that you can actually leave your king on its starting square. The black king is perfectly safe actually on e8. Not only that, but black can actually start their own kingside attack, which is what happened in the game, starting with g5. Now this is very aggressive, and white looked to combat it with knight to h2, trying to prevent the g4 pawn advance. But black just went ahead and played g4 anyway. Now this might not look possible at first because the pawn on g4 is attacked 3 times by white and defended just twice by black, but hopefully this video has gotten across that to be a great attacking chess player you need to look beyond the surface. Because here, even though this pawn can be taken, it can be soon reclaimed via rook to g8. Now the pawn is defended twice and attacked 3 times. And notice that white can't play f3 thanks to this dark squared bishop on this diagonal. So black is going to reclaim the pawn with a big attack here. Let's see how the game continued. Here, white blundered by taking the pawn on h6, because this allowed black to capture on g4 with 2 attacks now, both on the knight on h2 and on the bishop. The bishop retreated, but then after black captured on h2, the queen entered with decisive effect, the king went back, and after queen to h3, there's really nothing more for white to do, and white resigned in this position. There's no way to stop checkmate on g2. If you try this, for example, well, black will just take that queen, it's still pinned. And if you try g3, well, the rook will just come over to the h-file, and there's going to be checkmate on either h2 or on h1. But let's just go back to the main point of this position, which I wanted to get across, which is that in positions like this one, with the center closed, you don't actually need to be in a hurry to castle. In fact, you can leave the king on its starting square and start your own attack, just like Sultanbeef was able to do with the black pieces in this game. That last game, Leo Barski versus Sultanbeef, has been covered as part of my series on logical chess move by move. Click here to check out the rest of the game, including black's build up to the position and exactly what you can learn from how black conducted the attack. Check it out, I really think it'll help improve your attacking play.